Is this whole calibration thing of A440 or A442 just for people with perfect pitch? That is an excellent question. Hi, I'm Clay and welcome. Ever since publishing the video on A440 versus A442, I have gotten lots of excellent comments and questions, and I want to thank you all sincerely for that. I've absolutely loved having a conversation about this topic and hope that you all will continue to comment and share ideas so that we can keep discussing it. There is one comment in particular that has been simmering in my mind ever since it was made. Tom wrote, "Is this for folks with perfect pitch? I'm kinda irritated." Such a great comment, and thank you, Tom, for the conversation starter. All this talk and back and forth, and you don't even notice the difference. That is irritating. And it begs the question who all this stuff is for. Does it make a difference if you have perfect pitch? Like, do you need perfect pitch to fully appreciate different calibrations of A, or need it to notice it all? Well, let's ask someone with perfect pitch.
But when it comes to different tuning, it's not important that one has a perfect pitch. I think that the main criteria is just having a certain preference. In my case, I play in a professional string quartet and we tune to 442. And over the years, I have gotten used to hearing that specific tuning, 442. I really like it because it gives this bright color that 440 kind of lacks. And a lot of other orchestras or musicians tune to 440, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But it is, compared to 442, is not as bright. Now, just because you have a perfect pitch or don't have a perfect pitch doesn't really make a difference as far as identifying, as far as like actually hearing that. I think it has to do more with the fact that you're get used to one or the other, and then you have your preference, and you can really tell the difference between this or the other, even if you don't have a perfect pitch. I happen to have one, but I like to think that it is a blessing and a curse at the same time, because there are certain situations when perfect pitch is really useful, but then there are other cases when it's really not.
Okay, that's interesting. Yes, a person with perfect pitch notices, but you don't have to have perfect pitch to appreciate the sound of 442, and you should just go with whatever you like. If I played two versions back to back of the same piece, one with each of the tunings, you would probably notice the difference, because one would definitely sound higher and the other one would definitely sound lower. But what about outside of that context? Without the immediate reference and comparison of the back-to-back, would you notice? More on that later. This is the main difference, by the way, of having perfect pitch versus not having it. A person with perfect pitch doesn't need the external reference. They internally already can identify different frequencies by name without reference. If you are like me and the rest of the mere mortals without perfect pitch, it's a different story. If you are listening to an instrument or instruments tuned to one of these and listening to it in isolation without the immediate reference, does it make a difference? That is the real question, the burning question on my mind, and a near impossible one to answer scientifically. Many say yes. Yes, it makes a difference regardless of whether you have perfect pitch. The comments are sometimes universal even, that the 442 tuning makes the sound more bright, more clear, that the 440 sounds dull and gray and flat after getting used to the 442. I mean, it is more flat, it's a lower frequency. Just as many say that 440 sounds better because it is the standard, that it sounds like it goes better with everything. It's better because they are used to it. And just as many say they can't hear the difference, that it all sounds the same, and what is all the fuss about? The one thing that has stood out to me in this conversation is something that I will repeat from the original video, that our experience is what matters most. In a recent conversation about this, one of my colleagues wrote about her experience with trying 442 for the first time with a conductor that was really awesome in this really great orchestra that she was playing in. I think that is a perfect example of what happens. We have a wonderful experience, a great conductor or other interaction with a great musician, and we fall in love with what we have experienced. It doesn't negate it. I am so grateful that she had that experience. That these experiences solidify our opinions about music. They make us decisive, and that decisiveness leads to better music making. We will always be better musicians when we know exactly what we want. So the conversation is still not over. Far from it, and I'm glad. Like I said, I love having this conversation with all of you out there. And as far as the answer to, do you need perfect pitch for all this stuff? Well, the answer, I guess, is no. But as always, it depends on the situation. I know, everyone's favorite answer, right? Now, earlier I mentioned, more on that later when we're talking about listening to things in isolation. I'm going to post a video on this channel of me playing the prelude to Bach Cello Suite No. 1 in G major to one of these tunings. When you have a chance, go and listen to it and say in the comments which one you think it is. Is it A440 or A442? Now, if you've just watched this video, you'll probably be able to guess easily. So give yourself some time to wash out those other Bachs out of your ear and go listen to it a little bit later so that you can be objective. If you're watching this for the first time and you didn't see the original video on A440 versus A442, you can watch that right here.